Sometimes the people who seem easiest to replace become the hardest to forget. Years pass, new relationships begin, entire chapters of life change. Yet one person still appears in unexpected moments. A song, a place, a random conversation, a face in a crowd that resembles theirs for half a second. And suddenly, they're back in your mind. Most people assume this happens because of love, but that's rarely the real reason. In fact, some of the most unforgettable people were never lovers, never best friends, and never even present for very long. So why do certain individuals leave a mark that refuses to disappear? The answer is hidden far beneath memory itself, and once you understand it, you'll begin to see why some people remain psychologically alive in us long after they've physically left. Because being unforgettable has surprisingly little to do with how much time someone spends with you. It has everything to do with what they awaken inside you. Most people never realize this. When someone enters your life, they don't simply become part of your experience. They become part of your inner world. And the unconscious mind doesn't record people the way a camera records faces. It records emotional significance. Think about two conversations you've had. One was pleasant, the other changed how you saw yourself. Which one do you remember years later? The second. Always the second. Because the human mind forgets information far faster than it forgets emotional transformation. This is why someone can spend 10 years around you and leave almost no psychological trace. Meanwhile, another person appears for 6 months and becomes impossible to erase. Not because they were better, not because they were more attractive, but because they activated something deeper, something unfinished, something hidden. And this is where things become revealing. Many unforgettable people create a feeling rather than a memory. A feeling of being understood, a feeling of being challenged, a feeling of finally being seen. Perhaps you've met someone who somehow noticed parts of you that others ignored. Maybe they saw your ambition beneath your insecurity, your sensitivity beneath your confidence, your loneliness beneath your independence. People rarely forget those who see beyond their social mask. Carl Jung called this mask the persona, the version of ourselves we present to the world, the role, the image, the character. Most interactions happen at that surface level, but occasionally someone notices what exists underneath. And when that happens, something unusual occurs. We feel exposed, yet understood. Vulnerable, yet safe. Those experiences leave impressions that ordinary interactions simply cannot compete with. But here's where it gets interesting. Understanding someone isn't the only path to becoming unforgettable. Sometimes the opposite creates an even stronger effect. Mystery. Think about how many people become obsessed with unanswered questions. A text that never arrived. A conversation that ended abruptly. A friendship that faded without explanation. A relationship that felt incomplete. The strange part is that closure isn't what keeps people attached. It's often the absence of closure. The human brain hates unfinished stories. When something remains unresolved, the mind keeps returning to it, searching for answers. This is why people often spend more time thinking about those who left unexpectedly than those who stayed consistently. Not because the connection was stronger, because the story never finished. The answer is more uncomfortable than most expect. Sometimes we don't miss the person, we miss the explanation. And those are two very different things. Consider a workplace situation. Two colleagues leave the company. One announces their departure, explains their reasons, says goodbye, and moves on. The other suddenly disappears without warning. Months later, who becomes the topic of speculation? Who remains in conversations? Who occupies mental space? Usually the second. Because uncertainty creates psychological gravity. The mind keeps orbiting around what it cannot fully understand. Yet something even deeper is happening beneath the surface. Many unforgettable people become mirrors, not mirrors of who we are, mirrors of who we could become. This changes everything. Imagine meeting someone who embodies qualities you've secretly wanted for yourself: confidence, freedom, creativity, emotional strength, purpose. Without realizing it, you begin associating them with unrealized parts of your own identity. Jung would describe this as projection. We project hidden potential onto another person and become fascinated by them. At first, it feels like attraction, but often it's something far more complex. We're not only drawn to who they are, we're drawn to who they make us imagine we could become. This is why certain people remain unforgettable, even when they were deeply imperfect. Logic says we should move on. Emotion refuses. Because what we're attached to isn't always the individual. It's the psychological doorway they opened. A possibility, a version of ourselves, a future we briefly glimpsed. And that's only the first layer, because the most unforgettable people don't simply reveal potential. They trigger contradiction. They challenge beliefs we thought were permanent. Perhaps you believed nobody could understand you. Then someone did. Perhaps you believed vulnerability was weakness. Then someone made it feel safe. Perhaps you believed love always required chasing. Then someone chose you freely. When a person changes your internal map of reality, they become difficult to forget. Not because they changed your circumstances, because they changed your perception. And perception shapes memory more than events ever will. But here's what nobody tells you. The people who stay in your mind the longest are often connected to parts of yourself you've never fully integrated. The qualities you suppress, the emotions you avoid, the desires you deny, the fears you hide. This is where the real psychology begins. Because being unforgettable isn't always about admiration. Sometimes it's about activation. Someone enters your life and awakens something sleeping inside you. A confidence you ignored, a wound you buried, a dream you abandoned, a truth you avoided. And once awakened, it can no longer be completely put back to sleep. That's when something unexpected happens. You think you're remembering them, but part of what you're actually remembering is yourself. The version of yourself that existed around them. The version that felt more alive, more curious, more hopeful, more real. And that leads directly to the most important reason some people become unforgettable. A reason hidden so deeply that most never recognize it. Because the people who leave the deepest marks are rarely those who gave us the strongest emotions. They're the ones who changed our relationship with our own unconscious mind. And the moment that process begins, forgetting them becomes almost impossible. Not because they stay inside your memory, but because they become woven into your identity itself. Because once someone becomes woven into your identity, something remarkable happens. You stop remembering them as a person. You begin remembering them as a turning point. And turning points are much harder to forget than faces. Think about the moments that truly changed your life. You probably don't remember every detail. You may not remember what day it was. You may not remember what everyone was wearing. But you remember who you were before and who you became after. That difference is what stays. This is why some people remain unforgettable even when the relationship itself wasn't extraordinary. From the outside, nothing dramatic happened. No grand romance, no life-changing event, no perfect ending. Yet years later, their presence still lingers. The reason is hidden. They arrived during a moment when your identity was shifting, and human beings rarely forget the people who witness their transformation. A young man struggles with confidence for years. Then he meets someone who treats him as if he's already capable. A woman spends most of her life hiding her opinions. Then she encounters someone who genuinely values her voice. A person trapped in routine suddenly meets someone who introduces them to an entirely different way of seeing the world. The connection matters, but the transformation matters more. Very few people notice this. We often assume memorable people create powerful emotions. In reality, powerful emotions fade. Identity changes endure. And that's why time alone cannot erase certain people. Because removing them would mean removing a chapter of who you became. But there is another layer beneath this. One that explains why some people become unforgettable even when they hurt us. Especially when they hurt us. This sounds contradictory, yet human psychology is filled with contradictions. The people who create the deepest wounds often create the deepest reflections. Not because suffering is valuable by itself, but because pain forces awareness. Someone betrays your trust. Suddenly you see patterns you ignored. Someone rejects you. Suddenly you confront insecurities you never wanted to examine. Someone leaves unexpectedly. Suddenly you discover emotional strengths you didn't know existed. The strange part is that the mind often links those discoveries to the person who triggered them. Years later, their memory remains attached to lessons that became part of your life. Not because you still want them, because the experience changed you. And this is where many people become confused. They believe they haven't moved on, but remembering someone and needing someone are completely different things. You can think about a person without wanting them back. You can remember them without being attached to them. You can feel their impact without wishing to relive the experience. Memory is not always longing. Sometimes it's recognition. Recognition of how much one encounter altered the course of your inner world. But here's where the real psychology becomes fascinating. The most unforgettable people often awaken parts of our shadow. Jung's concept of the shadow wasn't about evil. It was about the hidden parts of ourselves we refuse to acknowledge. Traits we suppress. Needs we deny. Emotions we hide from others and sometimes from ourselves. Then someone appears and accidentally exposes them. Perhaps their confidence reveals your fear. Their honesty exposes your avoidance. Their independence reveals your dependence on approval. Their courage highlights your hesitation. At first, this can feel uncomfortable, even threatening. Yet these encounters often become unforgettable because they force us to see ourselves more clearly than ever before. And self-discovery creates a deeper imprint than attraction alone. Most people spend years trying to be remembered, trying to impress, trying to stand out, trying to become important in the eyes of others. But that's not actually how unforgettable people operate. The truly unforgettable ones are often unaware of their effect, because their impact doesn't come from performance, it comes from authenticity. They don't merely give people attention, they give people reflection. Around them, others discover something about themselves, and self-discovery is addictive. Think about the conversations you've never forgotten. Were they the funniest, the loudest, the most entertaining? Probably not. They were the conversations that revealed something uncomfortable, something exciting, something true. A single sentence can remain in someone's mind for decades if it arrives at the right moment. Not because the words were magical, because they illuminated something already waiting beneath the surface. This is why a brief encounter can outweigh years of casual interaction. Depth leaves a stronger imprint than duration. Yet most people chase duration and miss depth entirely. But the deepest reason some people never forget you is even more surprising. It has nothing to do with what you gave them. Nothing to do with what you did for them. Nothing to do with how often you were present. It has to do with whether your presence became connected to meaning. Human beings can survive without many things, but they struggle to live without meaning. We're constantly searching for significance, patterns, purpose, understanding. And whenever a person becomes linked to one of those things, their memory gains unusual power. A mentor who changed your perspective, a friend who appeared during your darkest period, a stranger whose words arrived exactly when you needed them, a partner who helped you discover who you really were. Their memory becomes attached to meaning itself, and meaning is one of the strongest forces in the human mind. That's why certain people seem immortal inside us. Their role extends beyond the relationship. They become symbols, symbols of growth, symbols of possibility, symbols of awakening, symbols of chapters that permanently shaped our story. And once someone becomes symbolic, forgetting them becomes nearly impossible. Not because memory refuses to let go, because identity refuses to let go. What happens next is something most people spend their entire lives misunderstanding. They assume being unforgettable means staying in someone's thoughts every day. It doesn't. Someone can go years without thinking about you. Then one moment brings everything back. A smell, a city, a sentence, a feeling, and instantly the connection returns. Not in the form of obsession, in the form of significance. That's the difference. Obsession fades, significance endures. One is fueled by need, the other is sustained by meaning. And meaning survives time far better than emotion ever could. Which brings us to the final truth. The people who are never forgotten are rarely the people who tried hardest to be remembered. They are the people who unknowingly became part of another person's journey toward understanding themselves. Because at the deepest level, human beings are not searching for perfect people. They are searching for pieces of themselves. And every so often, someone enters our life carrying one of those missing pieces. Perhaps they reveal a strength we never saw, a wound we never healed, a truth we never admitted, a possibility we never imagined. Then they leave, or stay. It doesn't matter. The impact has already occurred. The unconscious mind marks the moment. And from then on, that person exists in a different category from everyone else. Not as a memory, not as a fantasy, not even as a relationship, but as a permanent thread in the story of who we became. And once someone becomes part of your becoming, forgetting them is no longer really possible, because in a quiet and invisible way, they are no longer separate from you. They're woven into the person you are now. And perhaps that's the deepest reason some people never forget you. The most unforgettable people don't leave themselves behind. They leave part of you behind. A version of yourself you can never completely stop remembering. And once that happens, time may blur faces, fade voices, and erase details. But the feeling remains. The change remains. The meaning remains. And that's what truly lasts.